Right bro, this is going to be a full day of eating on the carnivore diet, but first I need to feed my dog. So I've made a few changes with how I feed this dog as opposed to previous dogs I've had. So this is raw chicken mince, and the majority of her diet is raw because dogs are carnivores, and it seems quite unnatural to me to feed them dry food which is completely dehydrated and that contains mainly grains. So the dry food I've got there is 60% of it is meat, so chicken, turkey, lamb, salmon, and then the rest I feed raw meat. So this is my first meal of the day, and this is at 9 o'clock, and this is 125 grams of beef mince, roughly 10 grams of liver, 10 grams of heart, and 1 egg yolk. So the total calories for that portion of the meal is around 400 calories, and I am eating this raw, and this is something that I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole on carnivore. I've done my research with people like Francis Pottinger, Weston A. Price, and the conclusion they've come to is that we should be eating as much raw food as possible. Now, it did take me a bit of time to get my head around this, and this might weird you out a little bit, but I kind of wanted to try this as well. I've seen people online eating raw meat, and I wanted to try it to kind of unwire the inherited mindset that as soon as you eat any raw meat you're just going to get ill and die. So this is something I wanted to try. I'm not recommending you try it, but I've been doing this for about a week now and I haven't had any food poisoning symptoms or anything like that. One thing I would say is the meat I'm using here, the heart and the beef mince, is extremely high quality. It's grass fed and it's from a local farm. I probably wouldn't do this with my local supermarket meat. And the idea is that the nutrition in the meat is going to be a lot more bioavailable because we would have evolved to eat raw meat. If you look at tribes people, they often eat raw meat. From some of the research I've done, you lose nutrition and potentially some of the protein when you cook it because that is a process. So minimally processed is ideal, and that's what I'm going for here. So we've also got a raw egg yolk. I don't eat the egg whites. I don't do very well with egg whites, so we've just got the egg yolk there. I'm sitting outdoors, I'm in a crouched position, and I'm getting natural sunlight in my eyes, nice fresh air, I've got the forest behind me, and I just feel like that's a more natural way to eat. This is the second half of that first meal, so same time, about 20 past 9. We got 250 grams of beef mince. We're cooking this in tallow that I made from grass-fed beef fat, and we're going to add 1 egg yolk as well. So the total calories for this half of the meal is around 770 calories. And if you look at the bowl on the left, it's kind of got all the oil and fat in there. Now when you're on the carnivore diet, you're not trying to avoid fat. Fat is very healthy, it's good for hormone production, and there are many benefits. It's very satiating as well. So on the carnivore diet, you're just eating fat and protein, which means you basically will have no hunger. So it's a very satiating diet. So again, I'm sat outside, I'm getting sunlight in my eyes, and I'm mindful of what I'm eating. So I used to work at Domino's as a delivery driver, and I would literally drive around thinking about where my next delivery is, with a sandwich in my hand, kind of just eating it as I'm driving. And it's completely, digestion has to happen in a relaxed state. So it's good to be mindful of what you're eating and take time and eat slowly. And this is the view I've got. So I'm looking out into the woods. Nice sunny day. After my first meal, I go for a walk. This helps digestion. And again, it's more of a relaxing thing to do. And you allow that food to be processed. You're not straight away onto the next task or back to work. This is the second meal of the day, around 11:30, and we're just eating 2 meals today. So we've got 375 grams of beef mince, and that's cooked in tallow. So again, you can see the fat in the bottom of the bowl. Some of that's going to be fat that's come out of the beef mince because I use 20% fat mince, and then some of that's going to be the tallow. But again, you want to eat that because that's very beneficial. The total calories for this meal are around 1,030. So the total calories for the day are 2,200. And this is just 2 meals a day. So The reason I'm doing that is because you've got a long fasting window until the next meal, which is probably going to be around 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's a good fasting window, which is going to allow us to get into autophagy, so your cells start repairing themselves. And anytime you know you're in autophagy, if you weigh yourself today and then tomorrow the scale says you're lighter, so if you lose weight overnight, you've entered autophagy. Because the first form of autophagy is to use body fat. So you have stored body fat, and if you're in a calorie restriction or you're fasting, your body needs something to run on as fuel. And what it does is it uses spare energy in the body, and that is what stored body fat is. And if you fast for long enough, you deplete your stored body fat, and then you start using, I believe it's called misfolded proteins. So any damage that's occurred to the cells in your body starts taking those cells and removing the energy, and then that's how you start healing and potentially anti-aging. So it's very beneficial to get into autophagy. It's very beneficial to have long fasting windows where you're not eating anything. So this is a full day of eating on the carnivore diet, 2,200 calories, 2 meals a day. First meal 9 a.m, second meal 11:30 a.m. Then after that there's a long fasting window to allow the body to get into autophagy. If you're first transition into the carnivore diet, you might experience cravings and hunger, but once you've been eating like this for a while and you've adapted, there is no hunger because you're fully satiated. These are nutrient dense meals, high fat, high protein, so you're just not going to experience much hunger at all.